There's a moment, a sacred moment every soul recognizes, but few can explain. Have you ever felt it? That strange feeling that something profound is shifting within you? As if an invisible part of your existence is whispering secrets your conscious mind can't quite grasp yet? Today, I'm going to reveal the 10 signs your soul recognizes even before your body understands what's happening. Signs that have been observed by mystics, documented by researchers, and experienced by millions of people around the world. And what if I told you that yes, you watching right now, may have already experienced some of these signs without even realizing it? If you're ready to dive into this journey of deep self-knowledge, hit that like button now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because after watching this video, your perception of life and death will never be the same. And don't forget to comment which sign stood out to you the most. Your experience could help other viewers on this journey. Get ready, because what you're about to discover might shake everything you thought you knew about the mysteries of human existence. The first sign appears as a subtle, almost imperceptible shift in your relationship with time. It's not that the clock hands move differently. It's that you start to perceive time in a completely new way, as if it were made of a denser, more meaningful substance. People who experience this phenomenon report that minutes seem to stretch like golden honey dripping from a spoon. A 5-minute conversation with a dear friend feels like hours, full of meanings that previously went unnoticed. And then, paradoxically, entire weeks vanish as if they were just a breath. Sarah, a 67-year-old nurse, described this exact experience 3 months before her transition. It was as if I was living in 2 temporal dimensions at the same time, she told her daughter. Precious moments expanded infinitely, but empty days just evaporated. This alteration in temporal perception isn't a coincidence. It reflects a profound change in consciousness, where the soul begins to gradually disconnect from the linear limitations of physical time. It's as if you're being prepared for a reality where time is no longer a prison, but a fluid dance of interconnected experiences. The second sign manifests as an inexplicable nostalgia, but it's not nostalgia for something you've lived in this life. It's something much deeper, more ancient. It's as if your soul begins to remember a home you've never seen with these eyes, but know intimately in every fiber of your being. You might be walking on an ordinary afternoon, when suddenly you're overcome by an overwhelming longing for something undefined. It's not for a person. It's not for a specific place. It's as if you miss a version of yourself that exists beyond the limitations of this physical reality, a more complete, more connected, more free version. Marcus, a philosophy professor, described this experience poetically. It was as if my soul was a piano playing only a few keys my whole life, and suddenly I could hear echoes of all the other notes that existed within me, waiting to be played again. This cosmic nostalgia isn't melancholy. On the contrary, many describe it as a comforting sensation, as if they are gently being reminded of who they truly are beyond this earthly experience. It's your soul recognizing that this physical journey is just a small part of a much larger and more magnificent existence. Ancient cultures called this remembrance of origin. The Greeks spoke of anamnesis, the process of recalling eternal truths the soul has always known. And perhaps you've felt it too, those moments when everything makes sense in a way you can't explain with words. The third sign reveals itself through an extraordinarily heightened sensitivity that goes far beyond the 5 physical senses. It's as if you develop invisible antennas capable of picking up emotional and energetic frequencies that have always been there, but now become impossible to ignore. You walk into a room and immediately feel the weight of unspoken emotions floating in the air like invisible mist. A stranger's forced smile in the elevator resonates within you like a silent cry of loneliness. The genuine joy of a child playing in the park envelops you like waves of golden light, filling spaces in your heart you didn't even know existed. Elena, a 58-year-old artist, described how this sensitivity manifested in her last months. It was as if someone had removed several layers of foggy glass that had always been in front of my emotional eyes. I could feel the pain of an abandoned dog 3 blocks away, but I could also feel the pure love between an elderly couple walking hand in hand as if it were a symphony playing directly in my soul. This expansion of sensitivity isn't a burden, although it can feel overwhelming at first. It's actually a gift, an indication that your consciousness is preparing to operate on higher frequencies, where empathy and connection are not conscious efforts, but natural states of existence. Many report that during this period they develop an almost telepathic ability to understand the emotional needs of others, not through words or obvious gestures, but through an intuitive understanding that flows directly from soul to soul. The fourth sign is perhaps the most comforting and at the same time the most mysterious of all. It's when you start receiving visitors, not through the front door, but through the invisible veils that separate worlds. Loved ones who have already transitioned begin to appear in ways that defy all logic, but touch your soul with an unwavering certainty that they are real. It might start with extraordinarily vivid dreams. These aren't common dreams, those confused fragments that dissolve upon waking. These are clear encounters, complete conversations, hugs you can feel even after waking. Your grandmother who passed 10 years ago is there, radiant and young, talking to you as if she never left. Your father, whom you lost in childhood, shares advice you need to hear exactly at this moment in your life. But it doesn't stop there. Many report presences during waking hours, a familiar fragrance that appears out of nowhere, the perfume your mother always wore floating through the house on a windless day. Or that unmistakable feeling that someone is sitting next to you in the empty armchair, a presence so real you turn to speak, only to find the space physically empty, but energetically full. Robert, a retired accountant, shared an experience that completely changed his perspective on death. My brother started visiting me 3 months before I found out about my condition. He always appeared in the kitchen, exactly at 7 in the morning, drinking coffee, just like he used to do when we were kids. At first, I thought I was losing my mind, but then I realized he was preparing me, showing me that death isn't an end, it's just a change of address. These encounters are not hallucinations or products of a debilitated mind. Researchers like Raymond Moody and Elizabeth Kubler-Ross have documented thousands of similar cases. It's as if, as the soul prepares for transition, the boundaries between dimensions become more permeable, allowing those who love us from the other side to come and offer comfort and guidance. The most beautiful thing about these encounters is that they always carry a message of unconditional love. There is never judgment, never demanding. Just a loving presence saying, "You are not alone on this journey. We are here, waiting to welcome you home." The fifth sign manifests as a spontaneous life review, but not in the way you might imagine. It's not a cruel judgment or a critical analysis of mistakes made. It's something much deeper and more compassionate. It's your soul making peace with every chapter of your story, finding meaning and purpose even in the darkest moments. This review happens in layers. First, you might find yourself remembering seemingly random events from your childhood with disarming clarity. The exact taste of the cake your aunt used to make on Sundays, the texture of the grass under your bare feet on an 8-year-old summer day, the feeling of absolute security sleeping in your grandfather's lap while he watched television. But then the review deepens. You start to see connections that were previously invisible. How that terrible argument with your best friend in adolescence was actually a catalyst for you to develop empathy. How that period of depression you considered lost was actually when you learned to recognize genuine pain in the eyes of others and became a safe haven for people in need. Maria, a 72-year-old teacher, described this experience with natural poetry. It was as if someone had given me glasses capable of seeing the golden thread that connected all the moments of my life. Every tear, every laugh, every difficult choice, everything was part of a beautiful tapestry I was weaving without even realizing it. Even the parts I regretted the most had their function in the grand work. During this review, many experience an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons learned through pain, for the people who appeared at exactly the right time, for the obstacles that forced growth, for the obvious blessings, and also for the disguised ones. It's common at this stage for people to feel an urgent need for reconciliation, not just with others, but mainly with themselves. Phone calls are made to people they haven't spoken to in years. Letters are written asking for forgiveness or offering forgiveness. And most importantly, there's a deep release of guilt and self-judgment that may have been carried for decades. The most extraordinary thing about this review is that it doesn't generate paralyzing regret, but rather a profound understanding that every moment, even the most painful, contributed to the unique and precious person you have become. It's your soul celebrating the complete journey before moving on to the next chapter of existence. The sixth sign reveals itself through a fascinating phenomenon, the gradual and natural detachment from worldly attachments that once seemed essential to your identity and happiness. It's not a forced or melancholic loss. It's more like a butterfly naturally leaving its cocoon, not because the cocoon is bad, but because it simply no longer serves its new state of being. You may notice that material possessions that once generated anxiety or pride now seem curiously insignificant. That car you polished every Saturday, the house you decorated with such care, even the clothes that defined your style. All of this begins to feel like costumes of a character you no longer play with the same conviction. But the detachment goes beyond the material. You may notice that family dramas that used to consume you for weeks now slide off you like water off a duck's back. Political discussions that once inflamed your passion now seem like distant reenactments of a play you're watching, but no longer feel the need to participate in. Thomas, a successful businessman, described this transformation movingly. For 40 years, my identity was completely tied to my work, my bank account, my reputation at the club. Then gradually, it was as if someone was gently untying those knots. Not with violence, but with the delicacy of someone untying a gift. And beneath all those layers, I discovered who I really was, and it was much simpler and much more beautiful than I imagined. Relationships also go through this natural filtering. Superficial connections based on mutual interests or social convenience simply dissolve, not due to conflict, but to a lack of resonance. At the same time, authentic relationships based on genuine love become deeper and more meaningful. It's as if your soul is carefully curating, keeping only what is truly nourishing and liberating. This detachment is not coldness or indifference. On the contrary, many report feeling more love and compassion than ever before. But it's a detached love, free from neurotic needs or controlling expectations. It's love in its purest form, offered freely, without agenda, without need for reciprocity. The most liberating thing about this sign is that it comes with an inexplicable lightness. As if you've been carrying heavy backpacks your whole life and finally received permission to put them down. You discover that you can walk much faster, breathe much deeper, and see horizons that were previously obscured by the weight you carried. The seventh sign emerges as a form of communication that completely transcends the limitations of words. It's as if your soul develops a new language, a language made of glances, pauses laden with meaning, and a presence that speaks louder than any speech ever uttered. You might start to notice that entire conversations happen without a single word being spoken. A simple touch of a loved one's hand conveys decades of love, gratitude, and forgiveness. A prolonged gaze carries the depth of all the conversations you never had time to have. It's as if the veil between souls becomes transparent, allowing a direct exchange of essence to essence. Carmen, a nurse who cared for hundreds of people in transition, observed this phenomenon repeatedly. There was a magical moment when words became unnecessary. Patients began to communicate through pure presence. They could calm an entire room just with their energy. Family members who had been fighting for years suddenly understood each other perfectly, as if ancient wisdom was flowing through the transitioning person. This silent communication often manifests as an extraordinary ability to offer exactly what others need to hear, even if you don't consciously know what that need is. Your words, when you choose to use them, carry a different weight, a resonance that penetrates directly into the heart of the listener. They are no longer just organized sounds. They are vehicles of healing, bridges of understanding, keys that open long-locked emotional doors. Many report that during this period they develop an almost telepathic intuition about the emotional state of others. You might be in a room full of people and instantly know who is carrying secret pain, who needs encouragement, who is desperately searching for a word of hope, and somehow you become a natural channel to offer exactly that. The most beautiful thing about this silent communication is that it operates on a frequency of pure love. There is no judgment, no personal agenda. It's as if you become a radio tuned to the universal heart station, picking up and transmitting only the highest frequencies of human experience. The eighth sign manifests as an inexplicable attraction to light in all its forms. It's not simply an aesthetic preference, it's a deep, almost magnetic call, pulling your soul towards luminosity, like a flower naturally turns towards the sun. You might find yourself waking before dawn, not due to insomnia, but from an irresistible desire to witness the birth of light. Each sunrise becomes a sacred spectacle, a visual symphony that resonates at frequencies you didn't even know you could perceive. Colors are no longer just colors. They are languages of beauty that speak directly to your soul. During the day, you're drawn to windows, to spaces where natural light dances freely. Shadows become fascinating not for what they hide, but for how they define and intensify the surrounding light. You might spend long minutes observing how sunbeams filter through the leaves of a tree, creating patterns that seem to contain secrets of the universe. At night, the phenomenon continues. Candles become mesmerizing companions, their dancing flames seeming to whisper ancient stories. You might find yourself lighting candles even when there's no practical need, just for the comfort of having that living light share your space. Stars gain a new prominence in your consciousness, no longer distant points in the sky, but familiar beacons guiding you home. David, a professional photographer, described how this magnetism completely transformed his art. I always worked with light, but during those months, light started working with me. It was as if each ray was a brush painting meanings I could feel but couldn't explain. My photographs changed completely. People said there was something different about them, an almost spiritual quality they couldn't define. This sign isn't just about physical light. Many report being drawn to people who radiate inner light, those rare beings who seem to carry a natural luminosity in their smiles, in their eyes, in their very presence. Conversations with these people become nourishing experiences, as if you are absorbing vitamins for the soul. The magnetism of light also manifests in how you become a source of light for others. People start seeking you out when they need comfort, guidance, or simply a calming presence. You may not fully understand why this happens, but you naturally accept this role as a human lighthouse, offering your own inner light to those navigating turbulent waters. The ninth sign is perhaps the deepest of all. It's when all the elements of your earthly journey begin to unite in an extraordinary synthesis, as if your entire life is a complex symphony, finally reaching its perfect harmonic resolution. You begin to see your existence not as a series of random events, but as a carefully orchestrated work of art. Every relationship, every challenge, every moment of joy, and every period of pain reveals itself as an essential note in the unique melody that is your life. There are no longer coincidences, only majestic synchronicities that reveal the invisible hand of a higher intelligence guiding your journey. This synthesis happens in multiple dimensions. On an emotional level, you experience a profound reconciliation with all parts of yourself. The young dreamer you were, the struggling adult you became, the wise person who is emerging. All these versions of you integrate into a cohesive unity, each contributing its unique wisdom to the complete person you are now. On a relational level, you understand the role each person played in your evolution. Those who loved you unconditionally were your teachers of compassion. Those who challenged you were your masters of strength. Even those who hurt you were, paradoxically, catalysts for your spiritual growth. There are no more victims or villains in your story, just souls playing necessary roles in the great theater of your evolution. Isabella, a writer who meticulously documented this experience, expressed it eloquently. It was as if I had spent my whole life assembling a gigantic puzzle, placing pieces one by one, often without understanding how they fit together. And then, suddenly, I could see the complete picture. It was so beautiful, so perfect, so full of purpose that I cried for hours, not out of sadness, but out of pure gratitude for the masterpiece my life had become. During this synthesis, many experience moments of absolute clarity about their life's purpose. Not necessarily what profession they should have chosen or what goals they should have achieved, but what their unique contribution to the tapestry of human existence was. Perhaps it was simply the love they offered to a frightened child, or the patience they showed a difficult colleague, or the art they created in the silent hours of dawn. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to access more stories like this. The final synthesis also brings a profound understanding of the nature of the immortal soul. You realize that this physical life was just one of many experiences of your eternal consciousness. Like an actor who plays various characters throughout their career, you understand that you played this specific role with mastery, learning the lessons you needed to learn, offering the gifts you came to offer.